In the early 1950s, a mid level officer worked in India's Ministry of External Affairs in New Delhi. His desk received documents from Indian embassies, foreign governments, and international organizations. India had become independent in 1947, but its foreign policy machinery was still small and inexperienced. The officer's task was simple: read incoming messages, summarize them, and pass them upward. He did not set policy, he processed it. Many of the messages came from two countries, the United States and the Soviet Union. Each wanted India to lean closer. The United States offered food aid and economic assistance, especially after Communist China took power in 1949. The Soviet Union at first showed little interest in India. Inside the ministry, replies were written carefully so that India would not appear to belong to either side. Clear promises were avoided, responses were often delayed to buy time. This approach worked for a while. The United States supplied food during shortages in the early 1950s. India received technical help from multiple countries. India attended international meetings without joining any military alliance. From inside the ministry, this looked successful. The officer saw that careful wording and slow replies helped India receive benefits without making binding commitments. Over time, this way of working became standard practice. Junior officers were trained to avoid strong language. If one country asked for support, the reply was written so it would not anger another country. This created more paperwork, but it preserved flexibility. No one described this as a grand plan. It was simply how India handled foreign relations. In 1962, this routine was disrupted. India and China fought a short war along the disputed Himalayan border. Reports of military losses reached the ministry quickly. The officer noticed that messages were now brief and urgent. India asked the United States and other Western governments for military assistance. Some aid arrived, but it came with pressure. After the war, the United States urged India to reduce military spending, limit arms purchases from the Soviet Union, and resolve its dispute with Pakistan over Kashmir. At the same time, the Soviet Union supported China during the conflict and did not assist India. Inside the ministry, this was taken as evidence that no single partner could be fully trusted. The officer saw that India's earlier approach, avoiding alliances, had not prevented war, but it had at least kept options open afterwards. In 1965, India fought another war, this time with Pakistan. During this conflict, the United States suspended military aid to both India and Pakistan to force a ceasefire. Because India was also buying weapons from the Soviet Union, it was still able to continue fighting. Inside the ministry, officials treated this as a confirmation that relying on more than one supplier reduced risks. No speeches were needed. The lesson appeared directly in procurement files. By the early 1970s, another crisis emerged. In 1971, India again went to war with Pakistan, leading to the creation of Bangladesh. There was serious concern that China might intervene against India as it had in 1962. During this period, the officer encountered a formal treaty between India and the Soviet Union, the Treaty of Peace, Friendship, and Cooperation. The treaty promised consultations and closer cooperation in case of threats. It was described inside the ministry as a temporary security measure. After 1971 war ended, the treaty did not end. It led to long-term military cooperation, regular diplomatic consultations, and continued arms purchases from the Soviet Union. These arrangements became routine. Ending them would have required a deliberate decision to reverse course, and no such decision was taken. The system adjusted around the treaty and absorbed it. In the late 1970s and 1980s, different governments came to power in New Delhi, but the basic approach remained the same. Leaders spoke of non alignment and balance. Inside the ministry, the officers saw continuity rather than change. India tried to improve relations with the United States, normalize ties with China, and maintain its partnership with the Soviet Union. But many Western countries did not view India as strategically important, so alternatives remained limited. By the late 1980s, most of India's military equipment came from the Soviet Union. This was not the result of one decision, it was a result of many small adjustments made over time. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the effect was immediate. Spare parts were delayed, contracts became unclear, communication channels disappeared. Inside the ministry, attention shifted to keeping equipment operational rather than debating strategy. After 1991, India began rebuilding its foreign relationships. It opened its economy, established full diplomatic relations with Israel in 1992, and strengthened ties with countries in East and Southeast Asia such as Japan and Singapore. In 1998, India conducted nuclear tests, which led to international sanctions but also increased global interest in India. The officer handled new files related to sanctions, negotiations, and restored contracts. India now had more potential partners, but also more complexity. In the 2000s, India continued spreading its relationships. It bought defense equipment from multiple countries. It joined groups like the Quad and BRICS and did not require formal alliances. This reduced dependency on any single partner, but it increased coordination problems. Managing these relationships required constant effort from the bureaucracy. The officer retired during this period. Others replaced him. They followed the same procedures and habits. The system did not depend on any individual, it depended on accumulated routines. In 2020, India and Chinese troops clashed along the Himalayan border. Inside the government, familiar patterns returned. Russia remained neutral, cooperation with the United States and other partners increased. Adjustments were made through existing channels. There was no single moment when India chose a new strategy, only continued management of limits created over decades. From the officer's perspective, India's foreign policy never looked like a master plan. It looked like constant work to avoid being trapped by any one relationship. Over time, this effort created its own constraints. Flexibility helped India survive, but it also narrowed the range of easy choices later. When a country avoids firm commitments for decades, how does it act when threats demand clarity? And when dependence forms gradually through routine decisions, who's able to reverse it?